Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate at St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. Today's Do You Know series question is, do you know why God chose to become human in the person of Jesus? In order to explore this, it's important to remember that when we celebrate the birth of Jesus, we are actually celebrating his incarnation. Now, the term literally means taking on flesh. So at December the 25th, at Christmas, we celebrate our God becoming human, fully human, like you and I, 100% human. And therefore, that becoming human becomes an intimate way in which God has connected with us. Now, the tradition oftentimes asks the question, why did God become human? And the traditional response has always pretty much been that God became human in order to repair the damage that we as human beings originally did in what we refer to as the original sin in the Garden of Eden. God had intended something for us to live in harmonious relationship with one another, with God, and with all of creation. Instead, we freely chose not to do what God wanted. And God had to recalculate, if you want, or come up with a different plan. And the other plan was to send, or to become human himself, and to really, in the person of Jesus, die on the cross so as to repair the damage that human beings had done in our relationship with God. And so Jesus, traditionally the understanding is Jesus came in order to pay the price for the offense that humans had done against God, and that pleased God, and humans were once again restored to God. That continues to be a fairly traditional way of understanding it. However, there was another branch of the tradition that existed all the way back in the Middle Ages, in which it spoke about the fact that God's desire to become human, to be incarnated, was God's plan from the very beginning when God started to create. That God saw becoming human like us as the most intimate and closest way in which God could connect with us in an intimate relationship and model for us what it means to be fully human. The Second Vatican Council attempted to recapture some of this tradition, and in its documents you could see that this aspect of God's revelation and God's choosing to become human was an attempt to be more intimate with us and to model for us what it means to be human. In other words, God established a love relationship with us from the very beginning, and by becoming human, he concretized that intimate relationship and called us into personal, loving relationship with God. I would like to quote to you a brief quote from the Vatican II document on the divine revelation, called in Latin Dei Verbum. It speaks about God's revelation and what God intended by becoming human. And this is the quote. This is from Dei Verbum number 2. It says, "It pleased God in his goodness and wisdom to reveal himself and to make known the mystery of his will, which was that people can draw near to the Father through Christ, the Word made flesh, in the Holy Spirit, and thus become sharers in the divine nature. By this revelation, then, the invisible God, from the fullness of his love, addresses men and women as his friends and lives among them in order to invite and receive them into his company." And so we can see that by becoming human, God, in the person of Jesus, truly transforms us as human beings, in that, first of all, the intimacy of the relationship is strengthened and concretized. We can now see what it means to be fully human because Jesus models this for us and invites us to live that kind of lifestyle. And as a result of that, all of creation now is suffused with God's presence because God has chosen to become one with all of creation. One of the most important implications of all this is that all of creation now has the potential of speaking to us about God and of drawing us closer in intimate relationship with God. And as a result also, all of creation, all of the human family and all of creation has to be treated the way Jesus treated all of us, with respect, love, dignity, and self-worth, with justice, so that we, like Jesus, who came to be one of us and call us into an intimate relationship, we who claim to be in relationship with God have to follow through and live the same lifestyle and the same values that Jesus did, and treat all of creation, all of life, as worth human dignity, worth justice, love, all the compassion that one can give in trying to reach out to all of our fellow brothers and sisters and to all of creation, simply because it is God has called us all into intimate and deep relationship. I would just like to end with a brief quote from the Vatican II Pastoral Constitution on the Church in the Modern World, where it calls to us what God becoming human invites us and challenges us to do. It says that the joys and hopes, the griefs and the anguish of the people of our time, especially of those who are poor or afflicted, are the joys and hopes, the griefs and the anguish of the followers of Christ as well. Nothing that is genuinely human fails to find an echo in their hearts. And so this is why God became human in the person of Jesus, and this is why we are invited and challenged to live the way Jesus lived among us and to enter into deeper relationship with God. I hope this has helped to understand just a bit of why God chose to become human, and I hope that you will return again to more Do You Know questions to deepen our understanding of our relationship with God. Thank you very much.